Breaking news like this doesn't come around quietly, and when the Dallas Cowboys make a move that feels intentional, modern, and forward-thinking, it deserves a deep dive because the hiring of Christian Parker as the new defensive coordinator is not just another coaching change. It's a statement about where this franchise believes it needs to go. And honestly, it might be one of the smartest decisions this organization has made in years. Cowboys fans have spent season after season watching elite offensive talent get wasted because the defense couldn't hold leads, couldn't adjust mid-game, and couldn't stop the pass when it mattered most. And that frustration reached a boiling point recently as breakdowns in communication, soft coverage, and predictable schemes kept showing up on film week after week. This is where Christian Parker comes in, and why this hire feels different from the jump. Parker represents a new generation of defensive minds in the NFL, one that blends old-school fundamental with modern, flexible scheming built specifically to counter today's pass-heavy, motion-based offenses. At just 34 years old, Parker has already built a reputation around the league as a teacher first, a detail-obsessed coach who prioritizes technique, leverage, eye discipline, and communication above everything else. And that alone addresses one of the Cowboys' biggest issues over the past few seasons. Dallas didn't just need someone to call plays, they needed someone to rebuild the identity of the defense from the ground up, someone who could walk into that locker room and immediately command respect, not through volume or ego, but through preparation, clarity, and results. Parker's coaching journey tells that story clearly. He didn't arrive in the NFL as a big-name former star with shortcuts built into his path. He climbed the ladder the hard way, grinding through quality control roles, position coaching jobs, and scheme-heavy environments where attention to detail was non-negotiable. Along the way, he absorbed some of the most advanced defensive philosophies in the league, particularly concepts centered around coverage disguise, pattern matching, and pre-snap confusion, which are absolutely essential in an era where quarterbacks process information faster than ever. For the Cowboys, who have repeatedly been exposed by smart quarterbacks identifying coverage tells and attacking mismatches, this alone could be transformative. What makes Parker such a compelling hire is how well his strengths align with Dallas's weaknesses. This defense hasn't lacked talent, it's lacked cohesion. Too often, defensive backs looked unsure of assignments, safeties hesitated instead of triggering downhill, and corners were left on islands without proper help or leverage, leading to explosive plays that completely flipped momentum. Parker's background as a defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator is crucial here because he understands the modern passing game, not just from a defensive perspective, but from an offensive one as well. He knows how route combinations, stress coverages, how quarterbacks manipulate safeties with their eyes, and how subtle alignment issues can turn into 40-yard gains. That knowledge allows him to design defenses that don't just react, but anticipate. Under Parker, expect to see a Cowboys defense that disguises coverage far more effectively, rotates safeties late, mixes man and zone principles within the same look, and forces quarterbacks to hold the ball just a fraction longer, which is all elite pass rushers need to wreck a game. This is especially exciting when you consider the type of athletes Dallas already has up front. A defense that communicates well on the back end instantly amplifies the impact of its pass rush because coverage and pressure work together, not separately. Another reason this hire feels perfect is the timing. Dallas is at a crossroads as a franchise. The window to compete is still open, but it won't stay that way forever. And continuing to rely on outdated defensive approaches would have wasted prime years of top-tier talent. By bringing in a young, innovative coordinator now, the Cowboys are signaling that they understand the urgency of the moment. Parker isn't coming in to maintain the status quo. He's coming in to build something sustainable, something that can evolve year to year as offenses adjust. That adaptability is one of his biggest selling points. He's not married to one rigid system. He's known for tailoring schemes to fit personnel, which is exactly what Dallas needs. Instead of forcing players into roles that don't maximize their strengths, Parker has consistently shown an ability to highlight what his players do best, whether that's press coverage, off-man technique, zone awareness, or hybrid safety roles. This flexibility also matters when it comes to roster construction. A defensive coordinator with a clear vision makes life easier for the front office because draft picks and free agent signings become purposeful rather than reactive. With Parker in place, Dallas can finally build a secondary with cohesion, targeting players who fit his philosophy instead of constantly trying to patch holes. The psychological impact of this hire shouldn't be overlooked either. Defensive players want clarity. They want to know exactly what's expected of them and why they're being asked to do it. Parker has earned praise throughout his career for his communication skills, his ability to explain complex concepts in simple terms, and his willingness to adjust when something isn't working. That creates buy-in, and buy-in leads to faster play, fewer mental errors, and more confidence on Sundays. Cowboys fans have watched too many games where defenders looked hesitant, thinking instead of reacting, and that hesitation is deadly at the NFL level. A confident defense plays faster, hits harder, and swarms to the ball, and that's the kind of culture Parker is known for fostering. There's also a larger league-wide trend at play here that makes this hire even smarter. The NFL is increasingly dominated by younger coordinators who grew up studying spread offenses, RPOs, and motion-heavy attacks. These coaches understand that stopping today's offenses requires creativity, adaptability, and constant evolution. Dallas hiring Christian Parker puts them firmly in that modern category rather than clinging to older philosophies that have been passed by. This move also injects energy into the building. A young coordinator with something to prove brings a different levels of intensity, preparation, and hunger, and that can be contagious. Players respond to coaches who are invested, who grind film, who show up with answers, and Parker's reputation suggests that's exactly what he brings. From a fan perspective, this hire restores some optimism because it feels like the Cowboys finally identified the root of their defensive problems instead of just treating the symptoms. Instead of blaming players' injuries or bad luck, they addressed structure, teaching, and scheme, which are the foundations of any successful defense. Of course, no hire is a magic fix, and results will ultimately be judged on the field, but if you're evaluating process rather than outcome, this is exactly the type of move smart organizations make. Like, it's calculated, it's forward thinking, and it aligns with where the league is going rather than where it's been. Over time, if Parker succeeds in Dallas, this could even become a launching pad for him as a future head coaching candidate, which speaks volumes about the upside of this decision. For now, though, the focus is simple: turning a vulnerable, inconsistent Cowboys defense into a unit that is disciplined, aggressive, and prepared. That transformation won't happen overnight, but the foundation matters, and Christian Parker provides a strong one. This hire sends a message to players, fans, and the rest of the NFL that Dallas is serious about evolving, about fixing what's been broken, and about giving itself the best possible chance to compete at the highest level. When you step back and look at the full picture, from Parker's background and philosophy to the Cowboys roster and needs, it's hard not to see why so many people are calling this a perfect hire, because it's not about hype, it's about fit, and sometimes fit is everything.